Again, good evening. My name is Josh Chudikoff, and I am the principal of Appleton West High School. And I want to welcome you all to the 2024 Hall of Fame induction ceremony. As a 1995 graduate of West, it is my pleasure and privilege to be standing here in front of so many of my role models and those that through their hard work and dedication, either at West or in the city of Appleton, paved the way for me to be here in front of you today. Tonight, we have the opportunity to recognize 5 individuals who have left an honored legacy and set the bar high for what it means to be a terror. Before we go any further, I would like to thank Stephanie Kozlowski for her behind-the-scenes work to make tonight happen. Thank you, Stephanie. Now, I would like to introduce Lori Kaufman from the Appleton Education Foundation to get us started.
Hello, like Josh said, I am Lori Kaufman with the Appleton Education Foundation. I'm so grateful to get invited to tonight's event. The feeling of home and nostalgia and appreciation that will be created tonight is just one of my favorite things, so thank you. The Appleton Education Foundation is best known for funding Appleton educators' creative ideas to enhance education in their classrooms and schools. We've been doing this for 27 years and have awarded more than $6 million thanks to our donors, many of you in the room tonight. In the last 2 years alone, grants to Appleton West total more than $67,000. About 4 years ago, the Education Foundation formally established the Appleton Alumni Network, an online community to help build and maintain relationships with alumni. The effort is led by steering committee with the Appleton High School alumnus Don Hippis at the helm. I invite you all to join the network. Our goal is to send regular emails regarding current happenings at your alma mater, spotlight alumni, provide opportunities for alumni to connect, and identify ways for alumni to give back. Tonight's honorees are all featured on the Alumni Stories section of the website, so please check that out. Another feature of the Alumni Network is a digital directory you can use to look up and connect with classmates that you've lost touch with. The easiest way to find the site is to go to appletoneducationfoundation.org and click on the purple alumni button at the top of the page. If you're interested in learning more or volunteering, please feel welcome to find me after the event, call the foundation office, or ask West leadership to connect us. They know how to find me. Thank you again for your time, and congratulations to tonight's inductees.
Thank you so much. So now it's my privilege to introduce our entertainment for the evening. Our Appleton West Chamber Choir, led by our director, Autumn Myers. Now, as the students funnel out, I'm especially grateful that they were able to be here this week, especially because we are in the midst of homecoming week. And so they have had lots of activities every night, every day. Tomorrow night, our football game, and a dance the night after. So the fact that they could make time to be here tonight, we're very grateful. So again, our chamber choir led under the direction of Autumn Myers.
come back, she won't come back again. She won't come back, she won't come back again. She won't come back, she won't come back again. She won't come back, she won't come back again. She won't come back, she won't come back again.
So our next piece for you this evening is the Appleton West alma mater. As I'm sure many of you know, West is a school all about tradition. And this is a tradition not only from the choral music department, but as our whole school. This is a song that gets performed at our commencement ceremonies. And every kid who comes through the choirs learns this. It's played on Friday afternoons, right as the bell is ringing, so that even if students are not in the music program, they're hearing this and it's getting embedded into their brains, and it gives us a sense of community, a sense of history. The text has a line in it that I just love. Mother loyal, sons and daughters scattered throughout the world, strive to keep your glorious standard through the breeze unfurled. And it just goes to show us, like whether it was 100 years ago or 50 years ago or this year, our students are doing great things, and they're going out to different corners of the earth. They're in the business community, they're raising families, they're in the medical community, they're doing arts and they're doing athletics, they're doing all of the things, and it all kind of started obviously at home with their families, but got supported in their community that they have at West. So here is the Appleton West alma mater. At West, our next piece is called The Lord Bless You and Keep You, but these students know it as the Friday song. And let's see, I've been teaching at West for 16 years. My former teaching partner, who's now retired, he taught at West for 37 years. And this song was being learned by West singers long before he showed up. So at my best guess, we're looking at 50, but likely many, many more than 50 years. This is one of the first songs that our students learn as freshmen when they walk through our doors. And it's a little rough when they're in 9th grade. But by the time they get to be juniors and seniors, and certainly when they sing it at the end of the year as seniors. They know it, and it's embedded in their hearts and in their souls. And it was written by Peter Lutkin, who is a Wisconsin native, and he wrote it in, I think, the 1900s, so it's a very old piece. And typically we sing this song just for us on Fridays. The kids gather up on the risers, and they wrap their arms around one another's shoulders, and it's a benediction. It's saying, I love you, and you better have a blessed and safe weekend so we can come make music together again come Monday morning. So we know it as the Friday song. The only time we typically perform this is once in a while at maybe a retirement community as we do some of our community outreach events. More often than not, we find people who are out living in the community that were West alumni who know this song because they were part of the choir. And it's even more common, they'll join us in singing, even though they haven't sung it in 20 years or 40 years. It's still a part of who they are as a community, and it connects our current singers to generations of singers who came from West before them. So please enjoy The Lord Bless You and Keep You by Peter Lutkin. It's called Be What You're Gonna Be, and my music colleagues across the district, we hunt around for songs that are insta-sings. Most of our concert cycles are 8 weeks long, so we're 3.5 weeks in, which is a really tight turnaround for us to perform. And so we start these songs at the beginning of the year for our November performance, but then we do these starter songs that are like community builders. Let's work on our team. That happens in our classroom, and so this is one of those quick, easy things that we do just for the love of singing and just for fun. So here we go.
Barumbira, barumbira, barumbora, barumbora, barumbira, barumbira, barumbora, barumbora, barumbira, barumbira, barumbora, barumbora, barumbira, barumbira, barumbora, barumbora.
Walk your walk, sing your song. It's your life, you belong. We are here, we are free. Don't you worry, just be what you gotta be. Walk your walk, sing your song. It's your life, you belong. We are here, we are free.
So how about one more round of applause for them? Thank you, Mrs. Myers. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but Mrs. Myers talked about community as a thread for our kids, and that is so appropriate for this evening, right? Because what do communities do? They take care of one another, and they're greater than the sum of their individual parts. And the kids that we just heard, right? They put a lot of work in and produce that beautiful sound together as a community. So thank you to them. At this point, we are ready to move to the dinner portion of the evening. So they will start serving us in just a few moments. So enjoy, and you can enjoy each other's conversation. Thank you. As we talk about tonight, we talk about our inductees. I think a lot about success, right? Our inductees tonight, they have experienced quite a bit of success. And I think about what it looks like for our students. And as I was reflecting on this, I thought about 3 different levels of success. First one is engagement. And to me, that means our kids are engaging in the educational process. They come to school every day, completing their assignments or classwork. They're participating in activities, athletics, and extracurriculars. And the more a student, we see it, the more a student is engaged, the more they invest effort in their daily tasks, practices, and homework, which then leads to the next level of success, achievement. For us, achievement is often reflected on a test score or maybe on a scoreboard. Achievement means that the goals that you set out to accomplish, they were met, and often expectations were exceeded. The people we are recognizing tonight, definitely, they showed a high level of achievement. But what we see sometimes is that many people stop at achievement. And tonight, those people that we are inducting, they took success to a full nother level, and that's impact. Now, impact means that not only were you engaged, not only did you have achievement, you achieved your goal, but your work impacted those around you. And you are not selected to be a member of the Hall of Fame unless you have had a significant impact on the world. When I review the names of previous award winners and our new inductees tonight, it is no accident that these are the names that are adorned on walls and buildings throughout the Fox Valley. They have left their mark on their generation, our current student, and generations to come. A book I recently read by Greg Harden. He worked at the University of Michigan for many years before his recent passing, and he advised some of the most successful athletes, Tom Brady, Michael Phelps, Desmond Howard, and one of the quotes that really stuck out to me that he said, "Make sure that your behavior matches your beliefs every single day." And I think about our inductees tonight, and they are shining examples of a nexus of behavior and belief. I know that I certainly strive for, and that I'm sure many in this room strive for as well. So at this time, I invite you all to sit back as we learn from our 5 inductees about how they have impacted our community and our world. Our first inductee of the evening will be introduced by Steve Gillespie.
Thank you. I'm one of John Gillespie's sons, an inductee this evening. It's an honor to tell you a little bit about my father. He graduated from Appleton West in 1954. He played football, both as an Appleton West Terror and then a year with the Wisconsin Badgers and another with the Army at Fort Belvoir, Virginia. He served as a captain in a combat engineer battalion. This year he was honored as Wisconsin's 8th District Veteran of the Year. Thank you. The summer before his senior year of high school, he had a life-changing conversation with my mom, who was Janice Krull at the time, another Appleton West student. She encouraged him to commit his life to Jesus Christ. Dad made that decision, and it has impacted his life and the lives of others in a big way since then. After he and my mom married, they adopted Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6 as their life verses. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. A few years into their marriage, while teaching a youth Sunday school class, Dad had a 13-year-old boy visit from a troubled home who became their foster son. It put them on a path to found Rawhide Boys Ranch and secure the involvement of Bart and Sherry Starr to help them promote that program. Over 35 years, my parents had 351 teenage boys live in their home. My brother Tim, who's here, and I were 2 of the 351. My parents authored a book about their experience, Our 351 Sons. It shares some of the really miraculous ways Rawhide came to be, and it has some great tips for parents. Dad has also been committed to civic involvement. In the year 2000, he won the Wisconsin Republican primary in a campaign to serve in the U.S. Senate. He ran against a very wealthy, self-funded candidate who ultimately prevailed. Dad has also impressed on me that we are on this planet to bring glory to God by serving others. Retirement is something you do in heaven. Dad is 1 month from his 89th birthday and isn't done serving. He's launched a new program called Vets Share. It's a ministry that will work to connect veterans across the nation with faith-based counselors, share groups, and churches that have a heart to minister to our soldiers. Dad has been in my Great Fathers Hall of Fame for a long time. I admire his lifelong devotion to my mother until her passing in 2017. I admire how he and Mom did not live one up or one down. You could be the president of Kimberly-Clark or the milkman, and they showed you the same genuine, authentic interest. It's extremely rare to ever hear him complain. He's an optimist. He's a man with many traits I want to emulate. I could not be prouder to introduce you, your inductee to the 2024 Appleton West Hall of Fame, John Gillespie. Way to drag out the applause, Dad. That was great.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Steve and Tim. Appreciate both of you guys. Thank you. I'm being honored to be inducted into the Appleton West Hall of Fame. Our high school has produced some remarkable inductees. I never anticipated being named among them. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. The most visible part of my life's work has been founding the Rawhide Boys Ranch, which today, as Rawhide Youth Services, is serving children and families throughout Wisconsin. I want to tell you a few stories that were involved in starting Rawhide. Let me start in 2nd grade in a one-room school on the north side of Appleton. There were a total of 40 kids in the school, ranging from 1st through 8th grade. On my first day of school, I met a 3rd grader seated in front of me. Her desk was a mess, and I told her she could put her books inside the desk and it would make her desktop neater. She paused, turned around and looked at me and said, "What grade are you?" I said, 2nd. She said, "I'm 3rd, and don't need to correct me again about anything." So for 70 years, I didn't. Her name was Janice Krull, and I didn't know it then, but we were destined to get married, and I would see God use her confidence to help us work with hundreds of young men who would come to live in our home. They all needed love. And sometimes it had to be tough love. And Jan was good at that. To me, too. The early years of Rawhide, Jan and I were invited to attend a wedding reception at the Fisher Hotel in Milwaukee. We were seated in between Lois and Darwin Smith. Many of you here know them. We were seated between Lois and Darwin. He was the CEO of Kimberly-Clark. Darwin was next to Jan, and he heard we were developing a children's program. Jan invited him to visit Rawhide. He said he would love to, but his schedule was very full. Not to be deterred, Jan asked him if he could make a date within the next 2 weeks to come and see Rawhide. I was more than a little shocked at her boldness, and I think Darwin was impressed as he said, "Yes, I'll see you in 2 weeks." He and Lois came out to see Rawhide and became lifetime members of supporting Rawhide. In our second year, we needed a lot of financial help. Several people told me Bart and Sherry Starr were interested in doing work to help young people. I tried to find a mutual acquaintance to introduce us, could not find one. Jan said, "I don't understand why you don't just call information." The Packers were national champions, and Bart was about to become the MVP of the first Super Bowl. I decided to show Jan you can't just pick up a phone and call Bart Starr. So I called information and got his number. I said to Jan, "I got his number." And she said, "Well, so call him." So I picked up the telephone again and dialed the number, and a man answered and said, "Hello." And I said, "Is this the Starr residence?" And the man says, "Yes." I said, "Is Mr. Starr there?" And the man said, no Mr. Starr here. Bart's here." I said, "That's who I want to talk to." "Well, you're talking to him." Over the phone, I kind of filled him in as to what we were doing in this facility we saw to do a boys ranch. And Bart said, "We'd love to talk to you more." And I said, "How would we make a date to come and see you?" And he said, "Well, we got the afternoon open. You want to come over right now?" Yeah, I said, "Sure." So I hung up the phone and said to Jan, "Yeah, we can go over right now and meet with Bart and Cherry." And our two boys were at the grandparents, and so we headed for Green Bay. Bart met us at the door and introduced himself, says, "Come on in, let me introduce you to Cherry." Went into the kitchen, she was making supper, and I said, "We'll make our presentation quick so we don't mess up your supper plans." And she said, "If you make it quick, you're going to mess up our supper plans. You're having supper with us." He had no idea who we were. Bart and I were both 27 years old. And so he gets a call and evidently goes to Cherry and says, "Cherry, a couple are coming to talk about a boys ranch. Let's have them stay for supper." And that was the start of 50 years of working with them. And as Bart was coaching, as he was a player, we saw them at least once a month. They would come out to the ranch and they would bring boys to games, and it was just an amazing, amazing thing. And so God does do work in mysterious ways sometimes. So this was certainly one of those times. So thank you again for inviting me to be a part of this, and thank you so much. So many of you that are here have been a part of Rawhide. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. So, as someone who's been an educator in the Fox Valley for over 20 years, I think about Rawhide Boys Ranch and the impact that it continues to have on kids that I see, right? And so it is very humbling to be here tonight to hear your story because, again, the impact will go on and on and on and on. So, again, congratulations and thank you. Next, I would like to call up William Hanna, Matthew Hanna, and Catherine Schmelzer to introduce our next inductee.
Good afternoon. Evening. Oh man, it's been a long day. I'm Bill Hanna, class of 2001, all West grads here. I was thinking today about the early days when my dad first became mayor, and I would go around with him as he was going out in the community, and I remember sitting in the car with him on the way wherever he was going, and I'd say, Dad, are you going to give the hat speech or the driveway speech? Because I had heard them all so many times. But now, older, I give a lot of speeches, a lot of talks as well. And I'm like, oh, I definitely have like my list of like, which one am I going to do? But inevitably, all of them, and you'll hear that as we talk about the introduction, have the same theme of community and inclusion. So just a little bit about like, how did Tim Hanna end up in Appleton? My dad's oldest sister, our aunt, was born deaf in 1940. So imagine having a child that's deaf in 1940, and they lived in southern Wisconsin. And the way you taught children who were deaf in 1940 is you taught them to lip read. But that wasn't very inclusive, and my grandfather, that wasn't acceptable. And he found that in the Appleton School District, they were teaching a new way, ASL, American Sign Language, at the Morgan School. And so, I don't know how you found that in 1940. You didn't go on Google and say, who's doing like the newest thing in deaf education. But the Appleton Area School District was ahead of its time. It was cutting edge at the time. And so moved the family up to Appleton for his daughter, for the community, right, of Appleton. And that continued. I mean, both my grandparents, what my dad saw, were of the community. My grandmother, if there were people in the neighborhood, a little down on their luck, a little short on food, needed a place to stay, she was open, she was caring. Did you knock on the door? She'll make you a sandwich. My dad saw that growing up as a kid, and that's what Appleton was all about, right? That community, we care for each other in Appleton. And the last thing I'll say about a little story my grandma used to tell us is when my dad was a little kid, right? You ask a little kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? And the kid said, doctor or lawyer, an astronaut. My dad would say, I'm going to be an ideas man. What? But that's what he did. That is what he did. And you'll hear a little bit about it with my siblings. And I want to talk just real quickly about, and how did he end up in government? So he tried to play basketball. None of us are very good at it. Got cut from the team. What's he going to do? And he ended up doing youth in government at the Y. I just learned today, got the last seat on the bus at the first convention that he went to. And that was his introduction to government. And then when he got to West, created the Student Faculty Administrative Council, and his whole theory was a high school is a community. And everybody in the school deserves a say in how that community functions, from the faculty to the staff to the teachers and the students, and that shared governance, that shared community. And you can see how that carried on throughout his entire career of community and inclusivity. And Katie's going to talk a little bit about what that was like as a child. And
All right, hello everyone. I'm Katie Schmelzer. I am Tim's youngest daughter, Appleton West grad 06. I'm just going to talk a little bit about his legacy that he left of community and public service. From early on, my dad has been a model of and a champion of community and public service. We would be out late at the store shopping. We would see different types of families and different situations, and it was always met with grace and a lesson of how we treat others and how we accept others from when I was 5 years old. So he instilled in us the importance of treating others with kindness, acceptance, and respect. Kindness, acceptance, and respect. He had a unique parenting style, which was frustrating at the time, but I appreciate it now. We would ask questions, and he just kept answering my question with a question. I'm like, I'm asking you a question. Yeah, I'm asking you a question. And then, we'd ask him to help solve problems. Well, what do you think? How would you? Dad, just give me the answer. But now in our adult lives, we appreciate it so much in our lines of work and with leading others. That's how we work with our colleagues. We ask them questions, we answer their questions with questions to help them solve problems. And we learned that from our dad. So this approach was very evident in his approach, his role of being mayor of Appleton. So he fostered strong relationships in the community. And some initiatives that he led were, and that I remember as a child, is the really strong relationship with the Hmong American Partnership of the Fox Valley and the creation of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Coordinator in Appleton. And these efforts have contributed to the Appleton's reputation of being an inclusive city. One of the most impactful and the most near and dear to my heart, being a public educator, was the Dignity and Respect campaign in 2018. And as I was doing my research to prepare for this, I watched a little news clip of my dad talking about it, and it still feels that as I work in the Appleton schools. What my dad said is it emphasizes the fundamental rights that every individual, regardless of their background, deserves dignity and respect. So Appleton became the first city in Wisconsin to implement that initiative, and it reflects the city's commitment to fostering culture of respect and inclusivity. And my dad was so involved in the schools, which makes such an impact on our youth. And I still see that today in the school that I work at. So his visionary leadership and unwavering commitment to public service have earned him the respect and admiration of countless individuals, including us, his proud children. So Matt's going to talk a little bit more about some of those projects and the visions that he has developed into fruition in Appleton.
Thanks, Katie. I'm Matt Hanna, 04 grad. I inherited a lot of my dad's project-based thinking and service work. And as you've heard my siblings talk about community. And I think it was so cool to hear the director of the choir and how many times she mentioned community and Appleton West and how important that is. So I think it's so cool. It makes sense that that's where you got your education, and it's cool to see that that's still true today. So community and collaboration. These are two things that were ingrained in almost everything that my dad did. Inspiring others, creating a vision, and taking action, with the goal of having a positive impact for the entire Fox Valley community and not just Appleton. This way of thinking was ingrained in us as well, and we were able to see firsthand the passion that he has for this community and the passion and beliefs he has in his ideas. The idea man. Many of these ideas were not always the conventional way of thinking, of getting things done, and were likely to be met with resistance or doubt. That didn't stop him. He was able to accomplish community projects such as Fox Cities PAC, the USA Youth Sports Complex, the Champion Center, Fox Cities Exhibition Center, and many more. And many other projects and partnerships throughout the Fox Cities that are still serving the community today. So Dad, thanks for your many years of public service, for creating a culture of collaboration, inclusion, and community. Congratulations on your induction to Appleton West Hall of Fame. Well deserved.
Oh, man. How about those West grads, huh? Wow. Okay, I can just throw this away. I mean, they covered most of what I was going to say. I'm so proud of them. So proud of my children. And so proud that they went to West. They went to West. They did touch on a lot of that, absolutely. You know, I purposely, when I asked them if they would introduce me, I purposely told them I don't want to know what you're going to say. Most of what they said is in here. So where do I go from there? They touched on the important things. First of all, I want to thank the Hall of Fame for the nomination, and I'm humbled and I'm honored. I'm a West guy, born and raised in this community. I love Appleton. I always have to chuckle when I run into people these days and they go, "Oh, are you still in town?" I'm like, "Are you kidding? My roots go so deep, you'll never pull them out." When we go on vacation, my wife will tell you, we can't wait to get home. Well, look at that. We can't wait to get home. This is home for us. Always will be. So when I got this nomination, I looked through the past inductees to the Hall of Fame. I was moved by how many of them I have a connection to. And Bill started out, right? Carrie Morgan, an innovator in the Appleton School District, and her innovation and forward thinking is the reason my family moved to Appleton. Carrie Morgan, a member of the Hall of Fame. I grew up in a great neighborhood, Prospect Avenue, across from Pierce Park, across from Jefferson Elementary School. And when I think back, that's when my interest in government started, because our neighbor, Bob Maves, was an elected city clerk treasurer, right? So our family had 3 boys, they had 4 boys, and one of them, by the way, Terry Maves, is a member of the Hall of Fame. And he promised me he wouldn't tell any stories about our time in the neighborhood back on Prospect Avenue. And believe me, we've got a lot of them. But thinking back, I was always curious. Wow, that's really cool. Our neighbor's like elected. It's the clerk treasurer, right? Basketball. They mentioned basketball, right? I loved playing basketball, right? And I started playing basketball. Where did I start playing basketball? The YMCA, right? We all went to the Y. We were in the basketball league at the Y. And who was this wonderful man? Always had a great smile, walking around, encouraging all of us young men to play basketball? Mickey McGuire, right? And his grandson is here today. Marcus is a friend of mine. But Mickey McGuire, Hall of Fame member. And he had an impact, right? Loved basketball, You could find my best friend and I, who's here tonight, Mort Sneen. And again, he promised not to tell any stories about our funny business around the neighborhood. But we hung out together. But you could always find us on a Friday night sitting down in the corner of Symes Gym watching our heroes at Appleton West play basketball. And we were so excited when they won the state championship in 1970. Oh my gosh, it was awesome, right? We were so excited. And at that point, I set a goal for myself. And my goal was, when I get to West, I'm going to make the basketball team. That was my goal. That was my big dream, right? Going to West. I played at Wilson. Get to West. I'm all excited. Going to try out for the JV team. And so, at this point, I'll tell you, there are a lot of teachers at West, faculty members that had a big impact on me in my life. People like, Del Shue and Bob Randa over at Wilson. Gary Hippis, my first government teacher, who likes to take credit for what I've become. Mr. Spangenberg. I love Mr. Spangenberg. I was a band guy. Loved music, jazz band, concert band, whatever. But, Vi Stoner, Tom Fanning, just wonderful people for me. Mr. Hawks. But I will tell you, the teacher that had the biggest impact on my life going forward was Ron Parker, the JV basketball coach, who realized I wasn't really that good at basketball. And I was, my dreams were shattered. I was the last guy cut from the JV team. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I fell short of my goal. But what do they say? One door closes, another one opens. Right? And a friend of mine said, hey, I'm going to go down to the Y. I'm going to check out this program called Youth in Government. And I said, so? Well, if you join, you get to go to Madison overnight. Sophomore in high school, Madison overnight. Cool. Where do I sign up? Right? Signed up. Youth in Government is a mock legislature. So to participate, you have to write a bill, a new law. Okay, I can do that. I wrote a bill. We go to Madison, and it's pretty cool. You walk right in the Capitol, you sit right in the Assembly and the Senate, and you debate your bills with other kids from around the state. All right, I can do that. My bill happened to be one of the first ones that came up. All right, I had to stand up in front of all these people I didn't know and talk about my idea. And I did. And we debated it, and we voted, and it passed. Like, wow, this is really cool. And that broke the ice for me. The rest of the weekend, when we were debating different topics, if I had something to say, I stood up and I said it. Little did we know, that was the first year the adults that from around the state, their job was to choose the top 12 kids from the state to represent Wisconsin at a national conference with the top kids from other states and talk about national issues. And I got picked. Just because I stood up and said what I thought. I thought, oh my gosh. That's how I got interested in government. I really don't like to talk about politics because I never felt that what I did was political. It was government, good government. So I participated in the National Affairs Conference, actually all 3 years that I was in high school at West. But that was my beginning of my interest. I came back, I ran for student council, listened to all my classmates say student council is really dumb, they don't do anything, all they do is plan dances. And I said, one of those ideas, right? Let's change it. So I ran for student council president, and my platform, scrap student council and start over. And I won. And that summer, worked with Vi Stoner, Mr. Gorder, some other students, and we wrote a new constitution for a new form of student government at Appleton West High School called the Student Faculty Administrative Council, where everybody in the whole school was represented. The difference was that council could actually make school policy. The principal had 2 vetoes, one that we could override and one that we could only appeal to the school board. but we actually had real adult conversations about what was going on in our community, in our school, right? Freudian slip, community. The way I sold that idea was, there's over 2,000 people who come into this building every day. It is a community of people. Everybody should have a voice. So let's form a governing body where everybody's represented, and we can listen to each other and we can make decisions about our shared future. That's where that passion for community really came to the fore and was born in me, was at Appleton West. And I think back, like, the administrators, the teachers, they didn't have to embrace that. They didn't have to, they could have said, well, that's a really dumb idea, that'll never work. But they didn't. They encouraged me and encouraged my classmates. And that gave me the confidence. But that whole concept, as you heard from my children, that whole concept of community was forefront of so much that I did. And of course, right, I was the first president of the Student Faculty Administrative Council. The second president, Brad Smith, Hall of Fame member, president of Microsoft. So today I go around and I go, yeah, I was his mentor. But just look at Brad and his investment in this community. I mean, he hasn't forgotten who we are and where his roots were, and good for him. I've got a lot of stories I can talk about my time as mayor, but my children really hit on the important points. Community, right? So I ran for city council in 1991. I actually, a couple other connections, right? 1976, I worked on a congressional campaign in 1976 in the summer after my freshman year in college. Whose campaign did I work on? Harold Freilich, member of the Hall of Fame. That's where I met my first wife, and the mother of those beautiful children that you just saw was working on Harold Freilich's campaign. I go back to school after the campaign. Who do I hitch a ride with back and forth to Madison? Dave Prosser, member of the Hall of Fame. We became friends. That's who I rode back and forth to Madison with on a pretty regular basis. So we get married. I made a promise. I'll never go into politics. The only promise I've ever broken, right? I never had an intention of running for office. I really didn't. I was always interested in government. I always paid attention, but I never thought that I would someday run. 1991, our representative on the city council passed out a brochure in the neighborhood, said, I'm not going to run again. Open seat. I didn't think anything of it. Brochures laying on our counter. My father-in-law is at our house. He picks that up, he looks at it, he goes, and he looks at me and he goes, you should run. I said, I don't know anything about this city. No, you should run. You'd be really good at it. And they need younger people on the city council. I was younger then. 1991. We talked about it. I ran. Open seat, and I won. How did I win? I talked to a lot of the parents of my classmates from West, from that neighborhood, and people that I knew from church, the church I grew up in and the church that I go to now. But that's how I won. They knew me. And I won, and I got on the city council, and it didn't take long. All that interest in government started coming back. And just for posterity, this is the brochure from my first campaign in 1991. But here's what's important, right? And today, any political consultant today, in fact, my good friend, the former mayor of Racine, who's over here, he looks at this and goes, I can tell you right away, there's not enough white in that literature. Too many words. 1991, what did I talk about? It's time for leaders of the Fox River Valley to put their egos aside and develop valley vision instead of tunnel vision. We need to work together. It was about community. What did I talk about? Jennifer Stefani. Let's face it, downtown Appleton is no longer a destination retail shopping. We must create a positive image of downtown while working with the new owners of the Avenue Mall to find and attract more people and activity to the downtown district. Committed to downtown, 1991, right? Quality of life. I talked about quality of life. But these themes persisted. Community. And what does community mean? Shortly after I took office and ran for mayor, one of the first things I did was I asked one of our staff members, can you find me some good examples of cities that are doing a really great job at strategic planning? Right? Mel, my partner in crime from the city, my right-hand person in this whole strategic planning thing. She did some research, she came back, this was 1997, she goes, I can't find any. There weren't many cities doing strategic planning in 1997. I said, all right, let's start. And we started. And what's the first thing we did? What's our mission? Why are we here? Right? And what's the mission statement of the city? We're dedicated to meeting the needs of the community and enhancing the quality of life. Oh my gosh, where did that come from? Right? I have given this talk hundreds of times about why the city's mission is about community and not about city, and what the difference is. There's a difference. Think of those two words in your mind. What do they conjure up? City's about buildings and roads and infrastructure, right? Community is about people. And when you think about it, we're dedicated to meeting the needs of the community. It's the people that matter. That's what matters. And so we went about that. And that was the start of our strategic planning. My children talked about inclusion and how important that was to me. But community is about people, and it's about everybody. Everybody. And I can't take credit for the idea of having a diversity coordinator. It's not mine. You know whose it is? Dr. Scullin. A wonderful person from the Appleton School District. He worked with our police chief, Rick Myers. They came to me with this idea. You know, Mayor, we would like to have a joint position between the school district and the city called Intercultural Relations Coordinator. And I said, tell me more. Well, we have a significant Asian population in our city who has been here for over 20 years who still don't feel welcome. I said, great idea. Because during my campaign, my first campaign for mayor, I did something that I don't think any other previous candidate had ever done. I asked for a meeting with the Hmong clan leaders, not to solicit their support, but to listen to what they had to say. And so when this idea was presented, I was all on board. And it didn't take long to understand that there was way more work to do than a shared position between our two organizations. And after that, they became full-time positions for both of us. Something else happened in 1997. A very wonderful, dynamic woman walked into my office. This was a black woman from Milwaukee who made an appointment and walked into my office and had this huge smile and said, Mayor, I want to start a black church in Appleton. Right? Are you kidding me? We're 95% white. I want to start a black church, and I also want to start a nonprofit organization for families who need a break from taking care of their children so that we can prevent child abuse. And who is this lady? I fell in love with her. Dr. G. Mans. She came. to Appleton and planted her church and started an organization called Babes, which is a free respite care, child care organization that still exists today. Its executive director is here, Pastor Monty. We've become fast friends. Babes is a wonderful organization. But I'll tell you what courage to come to Appleton, Wisconsin and say, I want to start this. And I said, absolutely, how can I help? And I can remember for several years, I had community leaders coming to me, what do you know about this organization called Babes? They're out soliciting money. Are they legit? Are they legit? Yeah, they are. And they do great work. Thank you for being here tonight. And thank you for what you do. This building community is about all of us working together. And I felt like my job as the mayor was, I need to define the role of government in this process of building community. I need to define that role. Because it's not just, government can't make it happen. We can't mandate a better community. It takes all of us, right? It takes the nonprofits. It takes the churches. It takes the business community. It takes education. It takes all of us working together. And that's what we set out to do. I feel fortunate that over the years, I was able to work with a lot of people I consider community builders who have come out of this school and are members of this Hall of Fame. A few of them are here tonight. Paul Hoffman, right? Absolutely. Paul Hoffman's here. Oscar Bolt, Walt Rugland, Kathy Seifert, John Milkey. I could go on, so many of them, members of the Hall of Fame. They all engage in this work of building this better community. People have often asked me, what are you most proud of in your time as mayor? And my answer sometimes surprises them. What I say is, probably not what you think. Right? It'd be easy to say, what I'm most proud of is all these cool things you could see, right? The Performing Arts Center, right? And it doesn't happen without community builders, right? The current president of PAC is here, Maria, a good friend. And talk about contribute to the culture and the sense of community, right? The Performing Arts Center, USA Youth, Matt, I think, touched on a number of them. Fox Cities Exhibition Center. Champion Center. Why would we mention the Champion Center? That's in Grand Chute. Are you kidding me? No, it's in our community. And we all work together to make that happen. But we could point to a number of things like that. But that's not what I'm most proud of. What I'm most proud of is what you don't see. You see, when I became mayor, I had an unspoken goal, and that unspoken goal was, I want to change the culture to one that the next person won't want to change. And I feel like we accomplished that. There's a different culture here. There's a different culture here. And so it was things, Katie, I really love the fact that you talked about the Dignity and Respect campaign, right? We had that position, intercultural relations coordinator, diversity coordinator, diversity and inclusion coordinator, diversity, equity, inclusion coordinator. We've had that position for over 25 years. Because it's about every person wanting to call this place home and feel like they're accepted in a place where they have standing. And I think that we've accomplished that. I know when I left office in 2020, the middle of the pandemic, and we also had the Black Lives Matter issue bubbling up around the country and around the state. I had former colleagues calling me after I left office. Hey, Mayor, I know you've had that diversity position for a long time and we're having these issues. What can you tell me about that? What I wanted to say is, you're too late. You're reacting. and everyone knows you're reacting. We were proactive. We knew there were changes coming, and we knew there were things that Appleton does not have a good history when it comes to race relations. But you learn from that, right? That's education. You learn from that. And we learned from that. And we changed. And we made it different. One of our good partners in making this stuff happen is our library. I remember the times going through and different things happening, and we had this position. Things like, after 9/11, the anti-Muslim feeling bubbling up across the country and in our community. But what did we do? We hosted a program called Walk a Mile in My Shoes, and invited a panel of Muslim leaders to come and talk about what it means to be Muslim. When the anti-LGBTQ issues were bubbling up, what did we do? We had a program called Walk a Mile in My Shoes, and we had a number of them across the spectrum be brave enough to sit and talk about what it meant to be a member of that community. These are the things I'm really proud of, right? With our library directors here, by the way, who's a great ally. And if you haven't donated to the new library, now's the time. You can still do that, but it's going to be a great place. One of those things I didn't get done. I could go on and on. I've got a lot of stories. But the bottom line is this. That whole sense of community, that really, while it might have been in me, was really encouraged by my time at West. And I so much appreciate that. And being elected the mayor of the city that you love was such an honor and such a humbling experience. But I can tell you, I never made a decision based on my political future, ever. I always did what I felt was best for my city and my community. And it turned out pretty good. I'll leave you with this. And I love this. I actually use this when I talk to other mayors, and I actually teach an ethics course for public managers. And I'll use this. I tell them one of the things that they should do is they should develop a code of conduct for their, think of the climate today, a code of conduct for their legislative branch, for city councils and town boards, and because they always say, oh, you know, I'm really tired of the rhetoric, the political rhetoric. Well, sit down and talk about it. Develop a code of conduct. And this is one of the examples I use, and it comes from the time of the city-states in Europe, where city-states were the center of culture across Europe. And this comes from the city of Athens, and it's called the Athenian Oath. And it goes like this. If you were elected in the city of Athens, this is the oath that you took. We will never bring disgrace on this our city by an act of dishonesty or cowardice. We will fight for the ideals and sacred things of the city, both alone and with many. We will revere and obey the city's laws, and we will do our best to incite a like reverence and respect in those above us who are prone to annul them or set them at naught. We will strive unceasingly to quicken the public sense of civic duty. Thus, in all these ways, we will transmit this city not only, not less, but greater and more beautiful than it was transmitted to us. I love that oath, and I feel like I've lived up to that with this wonderful city that I love to call home, Appleton. And I thank you all for your attention, and I thank the the Hall of Fame for this tremendous honor. Thank you. Who's that guy? Right?
Congratulations again. Yes, definitely. As I think about some of the words you just shared, one of them that stands out, one of the phrases that stands out that I think about with the students that are currently at West, let's change it, right? And we talk a lot about empowering our kids and agency, and that's the root of it, right? That's how you build community, by empowering our kids and showing them that they have agency. So thank you so much for showing us the way. Next, I'm going to call up Karen Bachhuber, and she is going to recognize our next inductee.
So thank you. I was a teacher at West, so I see my principal, I see former students and my colleagues. It's really great to be here. Brenda is not here. She is in Frankfurt, Germany, rehearsing for a new production of Lulu. And if you can buy tickets, it's like the first 3 weeks in November. There's still time. But just to tell you, Appleton supplied her with so many resources. Terry just told me that she ran track. And I'll have you know that I have seen her sing where she had to leap from one part of the stage to the other while singing, or sing laying flat on her back. And you wonder, how she gets that strength. But anyway, so I've had a lot of fun thinking about this because some of you were here when she was singing, and my son was also singing at that time. So I dug up all these artifacts, including my name tag. But because I was teaching math when all this was going on. And anyway, but well before 1996, Lawrence had a lot to do with this. I was a student, as was Joanne, Brenda's mother. And we were both college students who took courses in the conservatory. And Joanne wanted me to tell you that in that choir she was in at 19, the person that stood next to her was a very young Carol Jagan, who would go on to become Brenda's voice teacher. So all of this sort of works together. Anyway, Joanne and I have remained friends for all these years. 60? That's like, oh. Anyway, let's see. So I was thinking, Brenda was born being a math teacher on February 2nd, 1982. That's a palindrome, in case you're wondering. And as she left St. Elizabeth's Hospital, I'm pretty sure the sign that says Appleton, I Hear Singing was not there. But Brenda did hear singing. And she went to Jefferson, where she auditioned for the very first girl choir with Cheryl Meyer directing. And then she was in Park and Rec Theater Program with Lori Friedman Fannin as the director, and she kept on those things. She studied piano with Tricia Morris and ballet at the Makarov School. She ran track to keep fit, or cross country. And her first trip out of the country, she now spends most of her time out of the country, was with Wilson Middle School on a French trip. She had a really strong, melodious voice, and while at West, she spent a lot of time in the practice room I don't think she was particularly recognized as, or wasn't featured a lot when she was singing. But I think the culture of the West Choir, as we saw here with the students that were here, and the choir at West, was just very, very supportive, and she spent a lot of time in practice rooms. After graduating from West, she went to, I read one more thing. In Appleton, there were lots of opportunities to sing, so she and Drew sang at Fox Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. And then, hush that I should say this, the three, Brenda, Drew, and Melanie Flannery, East graduate, used to sing in coffee houses together. So there were places in the community for her to continue singing. So after graduating from West in 2000, she went to Lawrence for 1 year, and Patrice Michaels suggested she go to Madison. So then she went to Madison and the Juilliard School, and ended up with a contract, which in the opera world is pretty unheard of, with Frankfurt Opera for 10 years. While she was at Madison, she met Chad Graham, who was a voice student, a graduate voice student. She was an undergrad. They later married, and he's now a lawyer, and they have a family in Minneapolis and 2 sons, Rowan and Lyndon. And Brenda, like I say, right now it will be in Frankfurt, Germany for 2 months. Anyway, so Brenda wrote on her statement, "The love of music was born and nurtured in Appleton, not least of all Appleton West High School, where the music and drama program cultivated a budding talent and gave her early inspiration to go out and make her mark on the worldwide operatic stage. After obtaining music degrees from UW-Madison and the Juilliard School in New York, Brenda moved to Germany to begin a contract with Opera Frankfurt, where she amassed a large repertoire of leading roles. Her career grew steadily, and she became a much sought-after singer at top opera houses in Vienna, London, Munich, New York, Paris, Milan, Zurich, Madrid, and Tokyo. Creating a moving experience for the audience is Brenda's greatest passion, and she is not only known for her musical interpretations, but for her dramatic characterizations." Brenda concludes saying, "Music is with us in our joys and our sadness, supporting us as a friend in whatever way we might need." Thank you.
Thank you. Next, it's my pleasure to call Mr. Ed Zupka forward to introduce our next inductee.
I say young man because I had half of these kids in school. They all complain when I say it, but Z, I'm 65 years old. I don't give a damn, you're still one of my kids. What I would like now is for people that are here that have been inducted already to stand up. Give me all my inductees to the Hall of Fame. They're here. Get up, stand up, get up, get up. That's it. Now, I like my cohorts that sit on the committee that work so hard all year long, gathering this material together for their nominations. Would they stand up, please? There's one number one. Thank you. And since they all got a break for a minute, the rest of you, go ahead and stand up and take a break for 30 seconds. Ah, you chickens. One other announcement, those that have been inducted today, I would like for you to go over where the table is at, where the plaques are, and we can take a patient time to take pictures of you and your family and everyone together, not a rush, because we want to pass those on to the school and use it for the yearbook. My pleasure to introduce the young lady, Michelle Matthews Lieber, who deceased in this past 21. She's a young lady in the high school, and once in a while, when you don't know anybody real well, because we read through her nominations, which were all excellent, but I went back and I read a little bit in the high school to see about this young lady. First of all, the kids loved her so much, they shortened her name up, and all through high school and throughout her career, she was called Mike. Took Michelle and said Mike, and she loved it. She was an outstanding senior and got the Craftsmanship Shield Award, which is awarded to seniors every year, one senior. She was active in the newspaper of the school, was the editor. She organized a Spanish club for 3 years while she was there. She worked in the theater, and she was active in there. So she was a young lady that just took it upon herself to be involved with everything that she could get herself involved with. Her career started when she earned a full scholarship to Northwestern University. Completing that degree, she began to work as a reporter for the Post-Crescent. That was not her career. She went to the University of Washington, and Washington State of. There she got her master's in library science. When she got married, she moved down to Virginia. She was down there, she hooked up with a large library. She worked in that library, but discovered that she made a salary of $30,000. But her neighbor who ran, a young man ran the library, made $45,000 for the same job. That did not sit real well with Mike. She got involved and organized her committees, and they went after the aspect to equalize pay for women and minorities. She became so involved that she was now recognized nationally. One by the Library Association, which changed the rules to make it an equal pay for women and men in the library. That has not changed the whole course of the United States. But once upon getting that fact through, she now changed the people's mind, and she began to work on the national committee to change the rules. At that time, women were paid, compared to men, 56%, 56 cents to the dollar as compared to men. When she left, women were now paid in this country 84 cents as compared to the dollar. So it improved tremendously. Not completely equal yet, but it's improved tremendously. So equal pay was her national aspect of what she wanted to develop. She also, as a librarian, was recognized with the national books that she would recommend to the libraries across the country. People sought after her for her opinions. She served with the best book list for 25 years. She gave us time to think about books nationally. She gave us time to think about women, minorities, and children and what they earn. So for this lady, being introduced and coming from a West graduate is outstanding. I appreciate her efforts, I appreciate her time, and I'm for sure that equality will come someday because of people like Mike. And I love calling her Mike myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zepko. We'll get it. So last I'd like to call Kay Martin forward to recognize our final inductee for this year.
Everybody's still awake. All right, this is a really deep question I have to ask everyone tonight. Who remembers a hootenanny? All right. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to sing Michael rowed the boat ashore. But Lynn Kellogg, when we were in high school, would have a hootenanny for us periodically in the gym, and we would sing, and it was wonderful. She was just a very outgoing person, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank Walter Rugland, my co-committee member, who is now deceased, for nominating her. She deserves this award. She was an outstanding performer. When we read that she was being on Broadway in Hair, which was a very controversial musical at the time, she's from Appleton, we know her, she used to sing in the gym, wow, So it was just amazing, and she and her sister Edie would sing sometimes at the different schools, like Xavier, in the Valley. So she gave us a lot of fun times that we could associate with being with our friends and in community. She appeared in very many different shows, TV shows and everything, but towards the end, she was in a children's atmosphere and would teach children music and teach about animals through a program that she and her husband, Mr. Simpers, started in Missouri. So she leaves a great legacy. She passed away in November of 2020 from COVID. So I really feel that she and Walter are enjoying some very nice music with all the saints and angels in heaven. And I think that we are fortunate to have known her and been able to witness her wonderful talents. So thank you for coming tonight and honoring all of these people. It was a pleasure to meet so many people tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, that brings us to a close for the evening. So thank you so much for joining us tonight to celebrate our inductees. Thank you to the members of the Hall of Fame that are here both tonight in this room and with us in spirit. I'd again like to thank Stephanie Kozlowski for her work. Let's give her a round of a hand. She makes sure that I am doing the right things every single day at school, and I really do appreciate her. Also, just one thing that was clear tonight to me is that there is a high standard of excellence that it needs to be maintained to be selected for something like a Hall of Fame. And it does take a lot of work. I've had some good conversations with Kay about it takes work to make sure that we are holding that high standard. So I really do appreciate that Hall of Fame committee for their work. And finally, I'd like to thank Pullman's tonight for their hospitality and service as well. With that, I'll bid you a good evening, and hopefully we'll see you again very soon.